Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Proof Potters with the Pros. Today, as always, we're going to have a very special guest in Shadic. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Just chill Saturday. What's up, everyone?
Yeah, it's a big vibe today. You can see the sun, it's shining, it's great. And we have a lot to talk about today because you have just been farming recently. And I don't want to talk about all of your runs in 2023 just because there's too many of them, but I want to talk about where it started, and that's that SmashCon run where I feel like everyone kind of figured out how really good Corrin was. But like, what was special about that tournament where you just farmed?
Um, so I think like a little before that SmackDown run, like I kind of like had like a little slump basically, and like especially like through low tide city and like gateway and all that stuff. And then that summer, I really started like okay, I took a little break, and then majors came back, and I went to Smash Factory, and I was like okay, I did good. I read a book, and SmashCon, that was a tournament where I prepared for like basically every set. Like I played Candle, I played like Shuton and the Buzz for like 2 hours. Beforehand, I prepared for like every set that I had. And so just the focus I had through that tournament, it was just like I was ready for everything, and I think that's why like I was able to get ninth. I had close out riddles, I was able to beat Chase and like Big D and stuff, and so I was ready. Like in that tournament, like I feel like everything shifted. Like I wasn't scared of losing at that point, so basically everything changed.
Yeah, that's such an important mental health as well. Like playing to win versus playing to not lose. And
Mm-hmm.
it's hard to prep in this game, especially for a tournament like SmashCon where anything can happen. So major props to you for that. And then we're gonna skip ahead a little bit, but basically he farmed the rest of 2023, getting into 2024, starting off with your first major of the year, which is also your worst major at a ninth, so worst major. How do you feel about LMBM?
So that one I also prepared for as well, and I already knew I was gonna play against Tweak, and Tweak is definitely one of like my hardest matchups right now. Just because I think the Diddy matchup is like probably like -1. Definitely like he's just really really smart, and it's just hard to catch him off guard like in any situation. But I prepared for that one. I played him. I lost like 3-1, but the beginning of the set was like going really well, and the end I just kind of like unfortunate stuff happened, and I couldn't like just make it and shift my momentum as well. And then I lost to like Light for like
Yeah.
ninth, and that's like both like really tough matchups. And I was like, okay, whatever. Beginning of the year, ninth, I'll take it for sure. Still like liked how I played, and I still felt good about it. So it was definitely a good start. Um,
Yeah, and I have to agree with you. Like those are probably two of the roughest core and matchups you can draw,
mhm.
being Tweak and Light, both guys
Yeah.
top 10 in America. And then we're gonna move on. Not a major, but you won King of Bombs. You kind of farmed that event.
Mhm.
No sets dropped, I believe. And it
Mhm.
was
Yeah.
Anathema in the grand
Which
finals.
is yeah, game five, and I was actually like surprised to go to game five because I know Rob a decent amount. I
Yeah.
live in Texas, and I've played Zomba, I played Big Boss, and I played Anathema 2 times. That was the second time I played him, and went to game five. I think he didn't go up 2-0, but like the matches were very close. I was like, oh my god, let me not lose this set. And I was able to close it out. So yeah, that was a good regional win. B tier as well, so and
Yeah.
that was like my second B tier win, so that was pretty nice.
Yeah, the first
Um,
one was Santa Claus, right? Like just before.
yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, Anathema, like, feels like Anathema is the best Rob at the bad Rob matchups, like him versus Bayo. I think
Mhm.
Corrin is pretty well versus Rob, but he's
Yeah.
really, really good. He definitely does his
Mhm.
homework. Moving
Mhm.
on to, I think the event that put you on the map. I mean, you were already on the map because you top eight a lot of
Mhm.
stuff, but getting top eight at Genesis, everyone's gonna hear
Yeah.
about that. What was that tournament like?
Um, so Genesis obviously is Genesis, basically like if Evo was still around, it'd probably compete with that one as like the Super Bowl of Smash, but right now it's probably Genesis. And so that was my first P tier top eight, and that experience is like essentially like no other. Being on that kind of stage is just like I think that was like a big factor and why I played so nervous in top eight. But I think ever since then, I'm already gonna be used to that because I've already been there. But yeah, just that experience, like, and just my path to get there was so crazy because I beat Noe in PT, which is like an awkward matchup for me. I don't think it's like a bad matchup, but I think it's a really like uncomfortable one for me. Um, and he also plays like Neo, and like Neo's like one before. And I was like, okay, well, I'm sure he's gonna like have some experience. So I was like ready going into it. And so I barely won game five. I beat Yara. Samus is a bad matchup, and like I like six stocked him the last two games. And I played Tweak again. Like I just cannot escape these people. I played Tweak Quinn, and then I lost. And then I played Jackal. Had to verse him. There was so much crazy stuff. And I played Gluto. And I kind of just won. I don't know. And then played Meister and like that like legendary like game 5 last stock last hit set. Made top 8 and then played Neo and yeah, pretty crazy.
That was a crazy run. It feels like you keep getting really hard brackets, but you managed to do well with them anyway. And I think this was a
Hmm.
really good case at Litvitational.
Hmm.
And that's kind of where we started seeing you. I feel like you just went crazy because there was like, for me, I was watching you play, and it's like, okay, this guy's very clearly good. He's going to be top 10 pretty soon. What I'm worried about is there's a couple really tough matchups that I don't know if he's going to be able to overcome for quite some time. And then you started beating all of those players, and it kind of
Hmm.
starts off at Litvitational with that the buzz one. I want a little more detail on that one specifically.
All right. So yeah, the Buzz. I think before that time I played him, I was 04, and so I played him like at Riptide 2021, the first Riptide like post COVID. And then I played him at like Genesis 9. And I lost to was like, Olimar, and like the first time I played was Minmin, and then Olimar, and then Rosa, Rising Grind, and Miami, and it just kept getting closer. Like he kept switching characters, and like the game counts just kept like I almost had it, like especially at Miami, like it was beyond close. And I was like, oh my god. But this time, I had like watched all those VODs. I just like theory crafted against Rosalina so much, and we went to like another like it was like probably like a 30-minute set. Like our games are really slow, and it's like a game 5 one again, and I like clutched it out, and I was like, yes, finally, thank you, because it's been like so long, and I was like, man, I finally was able to like overcome this like I guess threshold into like this next level, you know. So that was really nice. Um, and then obviously the other people I beat at Levitational like Shuton, and that's obviously regarded as like a hard matchup for Corrin. I think I'm like me personally, I'm pretty good at the matchup, and so I was able to win pretty like decently convincingly like 3-1. And so I'm really happy about that. And then for my other sets, I played like light again. I almost beat him. Game 4, I kind of choked low key, but I was just like, okay, whatever. Third, but I was talking about the Mia set. That was the first time I played him, and I always thought about this weird thing. I feel like I've never played against Japanese players, but this year alone, I've played like 4 of them, and I was like, oh, okay, they're all coming to me, I guess. Um, and it's always like a weird experience, like playing them for the first time. Like, oh, they're playing like that. Like, okay, I play as Sword Fighter. I'm like, what is even happening? Like adapting on the fly, and I'm just like, okay. But yeah, besides that, I played like Cola, Beastmo Paul, who I'm currently up on, and yeah, it was a pretty clean event. Like start of the weekend actually, because it also, which I'm sure we're gonna talk about later, Cirque leading into that. So yeah.
That Mia sword fighter, like I thought sword fighter players were still using Tornado. I had no idea what
Mhm.
he was doing
No,
with that
nobody
character.
uses that move set. Like nobody.
It's low
Yeah.
key like mid. It's mid,
It's
but it's
it's like
better.
it's like it catches you off guard. Like
Yeah,
if you're not expecting it, like you're not ready for
you
that.
don't know how
Like
to space
nobody.
around side B and down B.
Mhm.
It's really
Mhm.
difficult. And then that
Yeah.
Buzz stat line is easily my favorite one Smash because even though it's 04, you could see you getting progressively closer. It's 2-0, then 3-0, then 3-1, then 3-2, then you win it in a game
Mhm.
5, and then you beat him one more time at Cirque. Let's
Mhm.
get into that. Your
Yeah.
first major win of many. You're the first major
Mhm.
win or new major winner since Zombo won Crown. It has been a
Oh
while.
wow, that's a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's
Um.
talk about that run because
For sure. So yeah, so that was like literally the day after Levitational, and I was pretty tired day 1, but thankfully I only had like 2 sets. I was like, okay, whatever. And I won my first set. All of my matches that weekend were like not free. Like I didn't have a single free match that weekend. Like even though I won like my first set 3-0, it was like against this Peach player who had like crazy movement. I'm just like, can I have a break, like please? Um, but anyways, and then I played like a Corrin player who had like the best like anti-Corrin gameplay, and I just went down 0-2, and I had to reverse GO him. I was playing kind of mid overall, but I was still like, what the heck is happening? And then I just won. And then day 3, where I played Guy Luigi, and I was like, okay, let me just not explode. And I won 3-0. And I was like, okay, whatever. And I played 2 Game of Watches. I was Sebai and then Mia. And then I prepared with this Game of Watch I literally just found out of nowhere at the venue. Shout out to you. I think his name was Chris. I'm not sure. But yeah. More of the story, I prepare for matches a lot, like a lot, a lot. It's really important, especially like when you play a character that doesn't like she can't really do the same thing against everybody, you know, neutral wise, of course. And so it's really important for me. But yeah, so I played Sebai, Mia, and Mia. I was able to win up 3-1 because I was pretty confident going into that set. Cause like, okay, I literally just played you like 2 days ago. I was like, I watched the VOD again. I was like, okay, I know what you're doing. And so I was like really going pretty confident. I played really clean. I was able to clutch that one out. And then I played the Buzz in winter semis, and I was like, okay, I literally beat you 2 days ago. So I'm not really sure like how I could lose this. And then I won 3-0. I was like, okay, nice. I played really clean. There were close games. Like I think game one went to time actually. Um, and then game two, I like won last lock. I was like 60%. And then game three, it's just a min. I'm like, okay, I was expecting this at some point. And it makes sense because I went up 2-0, you know. But I went up 3-1 stocks, and he made it last hit. I was like, what is happening? But I was able to clutch out the last hit. I was like, okay, cool, 3-0. Nobody has to know about the game, but yeah, 3-0. And then played Mute, which obviously he's from the same region. I played him like a good recent amount of times, like recently in the past like few months. And I've recently had like the set count over him, and I was able to win the first at 3-0. I was like, okay, nice. Like I played really good. I'm pretty sure I could just win this tournament now. And then I played like an hour and a half later, and then played him. He was playing really clean. I was playing like a slightly worse, but I saw the adjustments. I was like, okay, I need to like lock in before I lose my first chance at my first major win, you know. And so game 5 happened. I was like, okay. And then that like unfortunate SD happened. I was like, okay, it's over. Like that was it's over. Like it's over. And then I won the whole thing, and I was like, let's go finally. And this is something I've been working towards for like years of my life, you know. And so it was a big moment for me. So I was really happy about that, you know.
Yeah, and I mean, doing it versus Mutis as well has got to be extra. Because, like, playing your boy, you guys played 24 sets before. That's got to be kind of, like, stressful. Because even if it's a bad matchup, like, he knows how you play. And you guys for the same region as well, right? Like, that's...
Or like, we live like 4 hours away, but it's Texas, you know, so we have like regionals to go. Texas is humongous. Yeah, but he's like one of the persons I played against a lot, and so he always knows my play style, and I've learned from him. We've learned from each other, you know, and we just grown, and definitely like kind of like poetic, I guess, to like win my first major over him. I guess it could have been like anybody, and it happened to be against him, you know. So it was really like an interesting feeling. So yeah, it was
And you
nice.
guys are on the same team as well. And really quickly, before we get into the final majors that you've been to so far, I want to talk about Stride because I feel like you guys came out of nowhere, just picked up like 4 players, and that team
Yeah.
is so good. It's what you, Dark Wizzy, Mudace, you, MVD, ESEN, right?
He's yeah. That's
Like,
all of us.
do those players like when you go to majors, do they help you prepare? Is that like 'cause that's a lot of experience on your side?
So yeah, the first one that to join the team was MVD. I think he joined like 6 months before all of us or something.
Mhm.
And then he was basically the one to like suggest all of us like the rest of the team to the managers, and he got us all on there. And ever since I joined, it's been truly like an adventure every single tournament that we've been together. Like the support that we have for everybody, like and preparing for brackets, and you know just hanging out and all the content we've been doing. Like it's really like this feels like my first like truly like big sponsor, and it honestly really is
Yeah.
like having I kind of done my own thing for like a lot of times, like besides I have my dad, of course, but like I've been like my own like player, and I've just like asked people for advice here and there. But having like a team with you at these events is like definitely a different feeling, and something I didn't know I was missing out on like for until now. And so it's really nice feeling, and I can't wait for the rest. You know, it's just really cool to have everybody by my side. So awesome.
Yeah, and you guys are like one of the premier teams in America. I'd say you're up there with like
Mhm.
Luminosity and Moist, and
Yeah, like we
you're
kind of
all
just
getting so much better.
spawned.
Yeah.
Yeah, we spawned, and like just everybody was just like started doing good. Like Esam's like maybe gonna come back. You know, Dark Wizzy says he's gonna focus like after like Battle BC starts, and finishes, and like MVD is already still up there. And they're all really smart. You know, they've been playing for a long time, and like I can just grow like and learn from them. You know, so really good team. Like yeah, truly.
Yeah, you guys are pretty incredible. I'd say honestly, you have contention by the end of the year if you and Mutas keep on your uptick. If ESM gets a return, you could be the best team in America. Obviously, LG is a little scary, but
Yeah, they'd be picking up everybody as for like.
let's talk about your final tournament so far, 2024, which is, in my opinion, your most impressive tournament run, just because the players that you beat. Collision. How did that one go?
So that this was literally 1 weekend after my first major win, and so I went into it thinking like, okay, I know I can do this again, but will I?
Yeah.
Like I know I can like repeat this, but let's see. And then I went into it, looked at my bracket, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna probably have to play Lima, who I've lost to the past 10 sets. And I'm like, okay, what if this is the one though? Like, what if I prepare and like just really lock in? And I won game 5, and it was like really like special to me because the last like time I beat him was over a year and a half ago, essentially. I think something like that. And I was like, wow, like this is a really good time for me. And then I played like Spargo, and Spargo, it's hard for me to be ready for like everything I faced in bracket. And so when I played Spargo for the first time, I was like ready. And I played Spargo before in friendlies. Been playing for like I guess years at this point. It's kind of crazy because we've all known him since he was like 13. Now he's 18, and
Yeah.
I guess same thing for me. Like it's kind of crazy how so much time has passed. It's like wow, how did that even happen? But we kind of know each other, how we play. We actually played friendlies the day before we played in bracket, and so I thought I had like a good idea what was going on. And I still think I did like okay. Like I kind of got like the first games were close, I guess. I won obviously one of them, but like game 3 and 4, like unfortunate stuff happened. And I was like, okay, whatever. Um, but yeah, I think he like I wasn't like prepared as I could have been, you know. And so I think because of that and how I played in grand finals, I kind of was just like winging it. And even though I took games both sets, I was just like, okay, whatever. I'll be back next time, you know. And moving aside from that, like I beat Lights for the first time. Um, and that was really crazy because I think that's one of the most horrible matchups. Like truly, it's like really, really hard. And I just won 3-1, and I was like, okay, I got some edge guards too. Like I stick to the game plan. Like I played like a slow neutral, and let him like make it hard for him to get in, you know. And everything worked out. I was like, yes, let's go. um, and after that, I beat Cola in a reverse Rio, and I went into that sim thinking like, okay, every time I play Cola, besides Miami, I've always felt like I was playing so mid. And even though I was playing so mid, I always found a way to like just clutch it out. Like, I feel like Corrin Roy, there's something about it that like, Loki doesn't feel fair because he'll just be like hitting me like a million times, and I'll do like one like juggle, one edge guard, and he just explodes. I'm like, Lamau, whatever. Let's go Corrin. But this time he was playing really, really clean. Like he was hot. Like he beat like Light and Leo, and like it was really good tournament for him. And so I went down 2-0. I was like, okay, this is a little weird. I don't know why I'm losing. Like I'm thinking about what's happening. I'm like, what's really happening? Like why am I losing? And then game 3 is like last stock. Game 4, I kind of just did whatever I wanted to him essentially. And then game 5, like close. Like it was a hype set overall. I was like, okay, nice. So I was able to like I guess like avoid the pressure, you know, and just like stay calm, you know. And I was like, let's go. And then Onin, I hadn't played Onin like over a year, and I was like, okay, I haven't fought Steve in a while, but I'm like really like decently good. I think Corrin is pretty good in that matchup against opposed to like other characters, you know, in the meta. And I got along with the other characters. She's really good against the meta characters, and I won 3-0 and pretty clean, and then I played Spargo again, and then I just like I got second, you know, I had second out of like 700, second weekend in a row. I was like, let's go, like okay,
Three
I'll take
podium
it for sure.
finishes in a row is
Yeah.
definitely something to take. And you clipped Spargo. I'm gonna remember that counter till I die. That was
Yeah.
that's like you. Also, I want to
I think.
mention your win over Icy Mist because that's a tough
Oh
matchup.
yes,
And
yes,
you haven't
yes,
beaten her
yes. Of
before.
course. How could I even forget? Like I
That's
lost
how
to her
crazy
at
it
the big
was.
house. Yeah. I lost to her at big house. 2 game 5s. Like both of them, I was up in, and whenever I lost both of those sets, I was like, what? What? How did I let this happen? Like how did I let that happen? And so at Collision, I was like, okay. I watched those sets again, and I played Yara at Genesis, and I was like, okay. I learned this matchup a lot, so let me if I remember what I had to do, I think it'll go fine. And I played it really well, and I was able to win 3. I was like, okay, I've definitely grown. And a lot of these sets showed me at Collision that I've grown as a player, and that made me really happy because I put in so much work, you know, and it's all really paying off, and I'm really glad about that. So
Yeah, I mean, it's like it's very evident that the work has been paying off. You've got like amazing results. We'll talk about like the rough rankings towards the end of the thing, but I want to ask you something that I think is really important. I want to ask you about the Corrin matchup chart because you kind of said this like 2 seconds ago, but she does really well versus the current characters in the top meta. But overall, her matchup spread isn't like the best of the current top tiers in this game, and like I don't know if you agree with Neo's matchup chart. That character looks like a mid tier. It is crazy how many is losing, and I usually
yeah.
prefer to do this. Hold on, I'm gonna pull that up right now. But I want to ask you about the really important characters. There's like the big three. There's Steve, there's Rob, and there's Sonic, as well as Game & Watch. But I think Corrin is pretty well versus Sonic, and honestly, all of those characters. But I want to ask you about the Snake matchup, because one, I play Snake, and two, I feel like Corrin players hate that matchup a little bit too much. What do you think of it?
Okay, so it's kind of weird because me and Neo basically, our opinions of the Snake matchup like have fluctuated in so many like different times, like in the past months, and like ever since Battle BC, like that whole tournament was just like Snake, 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 Snake. Yeah. I feel like Snakes had their whole like they were doing so good, and then I don't know what happened. Like I feel like they've been like doing like okay recently, but Core and Snake like it's really important to know that matchup because there's so many things that are really versatile when it comes to Snake, like just juggling and disadvantage, and in every aspect of the matchup, you need to do something different versus when you're playing against any other character because he has so many tricks up his sleeve, basically, and like just grenade on its own and recovering against Kanita and then Nikita and just everything in general is just so different. And so I still think it's losing, uh, but I think when you put everything together, it's probably like a -1. Like it's not like horrible, but you need to be playing on point for sure, and like be willing to like be patient overall, and also like mixing ways to put on the pressure. But it's like not awful. And Nail's been showing that. Nick Nail is being AK like 3 times in a row or something. He's been like just doing really well, and he's just getting more experience on and on. And I haven't had a chance to like redeem myself against the Snake players, but when that time comes, I'm definitely looking forward to it. But yeah, definitely not as bad as we all thought it was, but definitely like not like easy, you know.
Yeah.
But again, for the meta characters like Steve, Sonic, Rob, Game Watch, I think she does well against all those characters basically. Like not like it's free or anything, but like just better than a better matchup spread compared to like other like top tiers, I guess. Because her advantage is just really good. Like neutral, like she has a big old sword. Like like it's just so like different, and I think she has a good chance. Like I've always thought this for years. Like she's had like the capabilities of being like a solo viable character, and that's why I've never like picked up a secondary besides like early ultimate. And I just thought she did well, like enough to like where if you just practice the matchup enough, study it enough, like you could just win. And I've always thought that. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, she's got the tools, and even the losing matchups, you still have up air, right? Like, you still have a really solid advantage that you have a good combo game, and you have a move that kills at 70% if you hit the sour or the sweet spot on it. And then I was going to ask you if you ever thought about picking up a secondary, but you kind of answered it there. Corrin all the way, I like that. Even though the match spread is a little shaky, it's doable for everything, right?
Oh, yeah, and I speaking about Nail's matchup chart, I like glanced at it for like a little bit. When he posted it, I was like, "What is happening?" Like we literally made the matchup chart together, and then we post this, and I was like, "Hello, like what happened?" Like we made this like a few months ago. But anyways, I was just like, "What's going on?" But I mean, I can see what he means. Like, there's always you have to be realistic and some stuff. But I think like I'm sure he knows too. Like there's ways to like overcome these matchups. But I've always thought matchup charts and tier lists are just so like theoretical, and it's just like why even like talk about it when that's just not how things work like in practice. But it's definitely like something like it's to take note of. But there's just always like things aren't always gonna happen as you expect them to. So I've always thought like expect like the unexpected, So
Yeah, exactly. I feel like matchup just matter the least in Smash Ultimate that they have of all the Smash games. Because one, there's so many characters. Who cares about the order? But two, even in the bad matchups, I still kill you in 3 interactions, right?
Yeah, like this game is just really ridiculous. Like it's literally the one game where you can literally die at 0, and so it's just like everything is like variables, and so yeah.
And like you die from 0 from like everyone. Just this game is fun. But I want to ask you, like, just how do you overcome those tough matchups? Because Corrin is a character that I feel like people don't give her credit for the difficulty. Because you have to play a really weird mid range with this character because you have access to pin, but you're really slow. So you have this crazy burst range, but you can't really pressure people super well.
So essentially, like the thing about Corrin is, yeah, it's like once you get in, it's really good. Like yeah, these good aerials, good combos, but like the game before that, like at go, you're just like, okay, let me wait for them to mess up, or let me like guess. Essentially, like, am I gonna hit their jump? Am I gonna grab them? Am I gonna like do a tomahawk option? Or like, how am I gonna get my way in? But once I do, you're done. But before that, it's a little struggle, because yeah, like you said, like she's not really like she can put the pressure on, but at a risk, versus against like these really fast characters or like Cloud back air, like she can't just like throw out stuff without like any consequence happening, And so there's obviously like risk, and the difficulty is in knowing when you can swing, when you can do these options, and it gets like matchups that are like, I think all of the extreme like versions of like edge guarding characters, projectile characters, like people that rush you down, all of those are like characters that she can struggle against because they punish her disadvantage, and she doesn't have anything special in disadvantage. Like she has a good up B, but when she's in the air, like she has like down air, or like she has like some stuff, but like she's not like Bayo. She doesn't have like a frame one air dodge. She doesn't have like special like moves that like put you from one side of the screen to another side, or like she's just like a normal character, like essentially, and she just has to like fight her way down. And I think in that aspect, like she like struggles, but that's kind of like a player thing, you know. Like, and at that point, like it's kind of like why are you even there in the first place, you know? But it's always just like harder, easier said than done, you know. But there's just like ways like if you're really ready for something and you experience something like so many times, you're ready for it, and you just overcome at some point. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't matter how bad your disadvantage is if you don't lose neutral.
Hmm.
And then she's like a character that you have to be so creative with her. And Corrin definitely doesn't have a universal game plan. I think there's some characters in this game that do.
Hmm.
Corrin is not one of those characters. And
Hmm.
I just really quickly, how good do you think Corrin is? Like roughly on a tier list.
I would say like roughly top 20, 25. People keep asking me this question, like especially recently,
Yeah.
but I haven't like put time into thinking like, oh, like who were the 25 characters that I think are better than her or something like that. But there's definitely like a few for sure, like obviously like Steve, Game Watch, and those characters. But like those other like niche characters, like what like do I think Roy is better than Corrin, or do I think the other sortie is like? How do I think about that? Like I haven't even decided for myself. But again, that's just one of the things. Like I don't even like really care. I'm just gonna keep playing. I'm just gonna keep trying to win. So why should I even think about it? But for the people that keep asking me, probably just top 20, 25. Before, when I was younger and like didn't have so much experience, I'd probably say like top 15. Like when she was like got super a lot of buffs and you know low key peak Corrin, which I think like it's barely ever achieved and probably haven't really been achieved yet because we don't know everything. Um, Maybe has a potential, but that's obviously peak, and you can't play at your peak all the
Yeah.
time. And so on an average day, probably top 25. So yeah.
I think that's a fair, that's probably where I'd put her as well. She's one of those characters like very, very good character. But she doesn't have the crazy broken stuff. I guess
Mhm.
in maybe pin and up are the only things I
She's
compared
like
before.
she's not like explosive. Like she's
Yes.
like okay, like I'm gonna take your stock in a minute. You know, like not like I'm gonna explode you in 30 seconds or like 10 seconds, like a Cinder War or like Cloud Forward Air or something. Like you know, like you kind of like you don't expect what's coming, but it's like gradual. Like you know, you're getting hits. You know,
Like
so.
if you actually look
Mhm.
at a Corrin combo chart, most of your true stuff isn't going over 30, 40%. It's the advantage stay in the frame
Mhm.
trapping where you're
Mhm.
actually getting a lot of value. And the
Yeah.
character's a little slower because of that. But I also think she has more potential because of that, because your advantage stay is
Mhm.
so strong, because you're ledge trapping. And you're seeing you and Neo just abuse that super, super well. Like it is
Yeah.
actually ridiculous. And
Mhm.
then I want to ask you a question. This is something that I just ask every pro because I think it's good for people that want to improve. How do you get meaningful practice in this game?
Okay. I think playing playing people that are better than you probably and asking for advice, focusing on what your weaknesses are, while also growing upon your strengths, but also really focusing on what your weaknesses are. Because the reason why you're losing is that's really important on how you grow, you know? And obviously, just like practicing your movement, practicing the basics, like is really important because there are countless times where most top players just mess up like the basic, like anything, you know, like fast falls or like just movement in general. And that really matters in like bracket situations because it can like completely change the situation. Um, Wi-Fi is a tricky subject because I play it like I've been playing it recently as practice because I need a match experience. I think, oh yeah, I think match experience is really important in this game. Like, really, even if you're like not the better player, as long as you like know how the character works and what you should be doing to counter the character, that's really, really important. Um, so there's that. But Wi-Fi, I played, of course, like during the COVID era, and I just cannot stand it. I just cannot, like, for the life of me. I think Corrin, like the way I play Corrin, it's just not like realistic, I guess.
Yeah.
And it just makes me so mad. Like I just cannot contain it. But it's like you definitely have to play like here and there, and use it as a source of practice, not like oh I want to win, unless you're like obviously in the tournaments, I guess. But if you use it as like a source of like focusing on what you want to work on, then that's obviously like really really good. And just watching VODs, like studying, like trying to understand the game better, like theory crafting stuff. I think all of that when you put everything together, like focusing on your mental as well, and things like that, like everything eventually will lead to improvement. So there, I think all of that combined, you know.
Yeah, I think, and you're so right about matchups being so important. Ultimate, I feel like it's something that people kind of ignore for the most part because there's 80 of them. Fair enough,
Mhm.
but
Yeah.
if you can learn, especially your bad matchups, every character in Smash Ultimate except two have very like clear weaknesses that you can exploit,
Yeah.
but you have to be able to execute them. Like the
Yeah.
characters in this game have the tools, but they're just so hard to actually punish upon.
Hmm.
And then you talked about watching VODs. Do you get more help watching your own VODs or maybe watching other Corrin players' VODs to see what you're
Um,
not thinking of?
Definitely, probably my VODs. I mean, for like years, basically, it was kind of like just me. Like, I was
Yeah.
just like a lone soldier. Um, and so I've asked people like from advice here and there. And now with like a few other corns coming out, like I feel like I don't have to do everything on my own. Like people can like play these matches for me, and like they can like could go to the hard parts instead of just being on me. So that's really helpful. But when it comes to like thinking of stuff like for the first time, it's basically just like a lot of me. Um, and so watching the VODs are like really important. And you learn a lot whenever you really think about what's happening in the sets. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, and like you're only gonna get so much learning from other people as well, because like I could use that in my own game plan, but I'd have to agree it's more important to figure out why you're losing versus why they're
Mhm.
winning.
Mhm.
But speaking of top core at the other level, there's pretty much just one at your level, and that's gonna be Nao. Has he helped you like a lot become a better player? Do you think?
Um, we've like I've seen it like whenever like he wasn't like well known, but like he was coming up. I watched his gameplay. I'm like, okay, you're pretty good. And I was like looking, I was okay, like I've done that before, so nice, nice. But like I guess now, we've talked to each other. We're pretty good friends. Um, and also he knows English, which is really helpful.
Mhm.
Like a Japanese player, like, and they have different ideas. Him knowing English is really like important, so we can actually share like our some of the thoughts that we have. But definitely he's taught me something. I taught him some things as well. But I think truly like we've have our own separate like thought process on the game, and so I think we're our own separate like players,
Yeah.
and I think we've kind of stayed that way for at least for now. But we definitely taught each other like a decent a bit, but not like a lot of our gameplay, but maybe at some point. But yeah.
Yeah, Corrin's a character you can play at a multitude of different levels. It kind of reminds me of a
Hmm.
Tweak Air in an aspect where they're both playing the same character, but it's such a different style. And that
Hmm.
contrast in opinion can really help you because you just don't think of something that the other guy's going to think
Hmm.
of. Speaking of that, though, Corrin's meta. She's getting pushed. She's going really far. I have one very specific thing in mind that I think is the next step for Corrin, but I want to know what you think the next step for Corrin is.
Like you mean in terms of like how she's gonna do it next tournaments, or how she's gonna get to the next level, or
Like
like
the
what
next game plan, the next thing you're going to try to
Mm.
incorporate to bring the character to
Okay,
the next level.
so that's a good question. I think because her strengths are already being explored so much, and
Mhm.
like obviously juggling and advantage state. But I guess when it comes to neutral and disadvantage, those are very broad categories.
Yeah.
But still very important. I feel like haven't been explored because they're more so again player based, and Corrin have many tricks when it comes to like disadvantage again, like I said. But she's obviously like a unique character. Like she has pin, and like she can slow down neutral with her range. And I think in terms of that, like that's already something that I've been working towards. I think that's why I've been like able to like hold my own against top players, because top players will like make it a point to punish you if you're like mashing something, or if you're just doing the same thing over and over again. And I think that's something like other coins for sure like could work on. I think probably the next stage when it comes to corn, besides like just the bread and butter stuff, you
Yeah.
know. So I think in that aspect, like that could use work, and that's probably like the next stage in her game plan.
Yeah, top players, especially at your level of play, they're gonna notice the third up air. Like they're gonna not let you just
Yeah.
kind of throw that one out there. The
Yeah.
thing that I was thinking of specifically though is pin usage. Specifically, you got you and Neo specifically. There's one thing I was very critical
Mhm.
about Corrin is how they use pin, like not as an anti-air to call people out, and then you guys just start doing it, which I appreciate. But
Mhm.
using that move as a shield poke, I think is gonna be really important. And I think you did that a
Uh,
couple times at Collision, if I remember correctly. If
yeah,
not, you just take the
it's like
credit.
pin in as a move itself. It's just really really crazy. Like it's like this downwards 45-degree angle, like just a move that explodes you. But I think people don't really recognize like I guess the mastery that you need to have whenever you use that. Like truly, like it's there's really like a variety of factors that go into whenever you use it. Like it's used in the air, and she has like a decent bit of lag. But if you use it like pin the ground, you like have multiple options you can go from. Um, and like it's like active for one frame. So literally, if you don't hit it that one frame,
Yeah.
you just kind of like leave yourself vulnerable. And if it also you just have to space it, and just all of that put together, like it's really crazy. But the reward is obviously ridiculous. So I'll take it, and it could be explored really well. Like And there's this one clip that I posted on Twitter once where I basically like put someone in the air with an aerial. I chased them down, but like they drifted back and I drifted back as well, and I baited an air dodge and I pinned. And like I think stuff like that, like really like could be explored more, and like just using it like in a more unexpected ways can be like as a trump card, you know, instead of being like just like slow kills like back air like or just like a edge guard or something like unexpected, and like using her strengths like and really using all the tools that she has. I think really important.
Yeah, I mean, you could teach a whole metafile lesson about pin. That move has so many
Yeah.
intricacies, and it's
Yeah.
like you're right. It's a very like committal move. It's a gotcha move. But it's
Mhm.
the thing that I think puts Corrin up there with good characters in this game, and getting that important utilization out of it, even if it is committal, especially in the air. Like on the ground, it's kind of committal, but as you said, you have just so many options that you can choose afterwards.
Mhm.
But doing that air call out is the next level of play, and you and NOOOOW have
Mhm.
been very, very good at that. And
Mhm.
then the final two questions I want to ask you. The first one is going to be just have any players you want to shout out from your region?
My region. Oh, okay. One, I guess probably number one would be Bullhall. I'm curious if you heard of him. He's an Incineroar player.
Yes. Okay.
Yes, okay, he's an Incineroar player, and I have I think 100 and like 40 sets with him, and definitely my most played player, I guess at this point all time. I think I'm like up, but he really only like competes in my region, which is RGV, and he's like number two right now. And I haven't played him recently. I've been like I guess so like out there right now, but I think he's really really smart. That's obviously kind of biased because we played so much, so he knows how I play, which makes sense. But the way he uses Incineroar, like even when I play him these days, I'm like, man, I gotta like stay ready because you gotta get ready for side B or killing me with up B at 0, you know. But every time I play him, it's just like, man, what is he gonna do this time? Um, and so I think I really wish he would travel. But he's focused like on other things, I guess, and he just doesn't have like the passion for the game, I guess, that some people do, which is understandable. Like it's a committal game, and you need to devote a lot of time into it, just like fine. But I think if he did travel, I think he really had the potential to be one of like the great players, like truly. But he just hasn't like really had the opportunity. Like he every time he went to like a major in Texas, he always got like the worst matchups of all time. It was truly incredible. Like he played like a me gunner, and I watched him play the set, and I was like, dude, like I don't even know what you could have done. Like it was actually insane. Like how that character just covered everything you possibly could have done. Played Game & Watch, played Mega Man, he played me Starfighter. I'm like, can you play someone normal and like just play a top player, like just catch him off guard, please? Like I'm begging. But yeah, I think like if he really wanted to, he could be something. But for now, he's just trying his heart out against me, I guess, at locals. Yeah, and obviously, besides that, there's like a camp player named Minimade, also like a local player, but I think he would have potentially like he went like everywhere. But definitely a shout out, and I guess my friend Ultimate, he's a Joker player, but more so just my friend.
That's the boy.
And just like the RGB scene as a whole, I've been like playing here for like since I was 8 years old,
Yeah.
and so yeah, I love all of the guys. So shout out to everybody there, and I guess all the OGens who don't play as much. Yeah, what's up?
Yeah. I mean, it's the community you grew up with. And then for Bullhall, I
Mhm,
mean, if you're even like okay with Incineroar, I have a lot of respect to you, but that guy
mhm,
he is scary good. And then
mhm.
final thing that I want to ask you, and I said I'd bring up the rankings. We're bringing it up now. What are your goals for 2024? Where do you want to land like, for the first half of the season?
First half. Okay, I wonder if you know, is Lumi rank half year or full year this
Half
year?
year. Thank
Half
God.
year?
Thank
Oh, okay,
God
okay,
it's
okay.
half year.
I had heard it was a full year again. I was like, why? I was like, why? But I think full year is really atrocious. But
Yeah.
okay, thankfully it's half year. Um, I think I guess my goal, I'll be super satisfied or like for now with top 10. That's probably my goal.
Mhm.
I think I'm kind of on track for that. I just gotta keep doing good. Um, so if I keep, probably my goal for half year. For the full year, who knows? Maybe top five. I don't know. It's kind of hard to like to gauge these things from then to now, or from now to then. But I definitely have always thought like I could be up there, and I think it's all kind of happening at once. And I'm just like, oh wow, it's really happening. But um, I want to travel. I want to go to Japan. I want to experience what that's like. I want to go to Europe. I don't have any like plans to go, but I think the opportunities are gonna come about, especially with where I am right now.
Yeah.
So I definitely want to. And yeah, I want to meet all the players. Want to try new things, you know. So definitely want to do all that. So mhm.
Yeah, and I think they go for top 10. I mean, as it stands right now, you're easily top 10. We'll have to see how the rest of the season goes, but I think you've got a pretty good shot for that top 5 as well. Is there any final people, players, things in general you
Mhm.
want to shout out before we hit the road?
Man. Yeah. My dad,
Yeah,
but of
Shadic.
course, biggest supporter. Been supporting me since literally day one. Takes me everywhere, drives countless hours. Like he's probably driven like 100+ hours at this point, because Texas is literally humongous. I don't know how he does it. It's actually insane. Like people will be like, "Oh yeah, I drove like 2 hours to get here," and I'm just like, "My dad literally drove like 7 hours." But like he's been with me like basically all the time, except like very recently. But when he's not there, unfortunately, he's supporting me from home. Has
Yeah.
like 4 screens up, getting people's perspective. He's like, "Oh yeah, I want to see what you say about my son, because I know like what I want you to say, but if you say it, yeah." But he's like biggest supporter. Like he literally watches Smash like basically every day. If like he's actually like a bigger viewer than me probably. But he just really loves watching me and like supporting me, and so I'm really thankful. And like I know like not every kid can have that kind of opportunity, but I was just I guess blessed to like have him in my life. So I'm really special. Shout outs to him. So thank you, Dad. And other people, my family, my rest of my family members and my friends, of course. So yeah, with shout outs to them, of course. And I guess we can do socials,
Yeah,
Lamau.
plug 'em.
Twitter and YouTube is Shadic underscore, and my Twitch is Shadic, and my Instagram is ShadicGG, but I don't use it that much. But maybe I'll use it more here and there, because I'm traveling a lot of places, so I probably take pictures. Um, so yeah, and I guess that's pretty much it. Just shout out to all my supporters, and thank you all so much for everything. Really.
Yeah, and Shadic's links will be down below. Thank you so much for joining me today. It was a great
Hmm.
episode, and I hope you have a good one.
No problem. I'll see y'all later.